So we're in the back now.
We're in the back of the rack with the microphones in it. And you can see all the antenna stuff is patched up there. All the microphones are patched and hooked together into those antennas. Here, that is what this is. This brings the signal back from the Aviom, this little Aviom unit. I said, I don't know what that output module does. When the people mix it on the stage, that actually sends it back to this unit, and this unit distributes it to the 4 transmitters. That's what that unit does. So it's deciphering the changes that they're making so that the people with wireless units, that feeds it into those wireless transmitters right there.
Okay.
And then this is the antenna combiner here. So one note, I have a note on this too. When they do the musical, Jared rents microphones. The place that they get it from, they know our frequency range that we have, our antennas. So they give us microphones in that frequency range, and they have antenna combiners all packaged in a little rack.
Oh.
And all you have to do is hook those antenna outputs in that rack, and they even mount it right on the outside, so you don't even have to open the rack up. And you have to come and connect them into our antennas here for the microphones, which are on top. So it's really hard to see, but there is a cascade right there.
Yep.
You can cascade, which means you can add more antenna combiners, so other channels can use it. So I plug that rack unit right into these cascade slots. There's an antenna A and an antenna B. And if you plug that rack right in there, that basically lets that whole rack of microphones that he rents use our paddles in the room.
Okay.
So then those microphones can live back here and not on stage. And then they have a snake that comes out with all the microphones. I unplug everything from the snake, and I plug each microphone 1 into 1, microphone 2 into 2, microphone 3 into 3, into our entire snake so that I can control the microphones on our system. It really works slick.
Okay.
They just bring a rack case. Everything's mounted, antennas all connected inside it, and you plug in the antenna there, and then you plug the snake of all the inputs into the digital snake, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 32, or however many he rents, and then you're ready to go. You can control all of them.
So that rack you rent is in here.
It's parked right in here. Yep, I plug it into the outlet on the wall there, plug the antenna in, plug all the mics in, and it's ready to go. Wow. And it works really slick. Cool. So I'm really happy that we have that going. So
great.
What else is there to know? A couple things to know back here. This is a little tiny PC that is owned and operated by Aero AV. This allows them to remote in and help us with issues or upload changes.
Okay.
So when I needed a change on the touch panel, those guys know how to program the back end. They could log into this computer and upload it right into our system without even coming here. So they have a remote PC in both of our campuses since they've done work here that they can remote in if there's an issue and fix it without stopping by.
Okay.
And also monitor some issues and stuff. So they have that. That's what that is in there, and that's theirs. Underneath it, this is our QSC guy. So this is the main brains. And remember I was talking about how
all the wires.
The wires are individually plugged in. It saves a lot of space. That's why they do that. And that's what I wanted to be done right. So what we need to do is get that extra host microphone plugged into one of these spare channels down there, and then programmed on the touch panel to be controlled.
That's why
in
Aero
the quick
needs to
mix.
be involved.
And so Aero needs to help with that. If I went through the classes on the there's a free course on that QSC system, and it's very extensive. And they even give you little tests, but it's free.
Okay.
But if you want to sit down for a year probably and work on that, you could learn how to program the back end. It is very involved, and there's a lot of different things to learn, but it is free, and you can sit down. I watched a couple episodes of the beginning. So whoever comes in here, they can train themselves in QSC and make the changes themselves if they're confident.
Okay.
The guys, when we went down to the SALT conference, the guys at the Belonging Company, that church, we did a tech tour there. One of their production guys did that. He went through the entire course. And so he said, you can program music to come on in the lobby at 8:30. When church starts at 9, it just automatically just starts playing some music out there. You can program that in the QSC. So he learned how to do all that stuff. And it was helpful because he can make changes himself.
Mhm.
So that is an option. If our system goes down, when I was describing the crash,
Mhm.
when it gets locked up, this is that IEC power cable.
Oh, okay.
And I just give her a pull and let it reboot.
Okay.
So that is the fail safe there if you need it. The only other issue that has ever happened, there are 2 Dante Avio units right down in here, one there and one there.
Mhm.
This is converting the Dante signal into a regular audio signal for the main speakers and the subwoofers.
Ah.
So the audio for the mains and the sub is in Dante. It's going through our big QSC brain guy. He's controlling that. But then to actually get to the amplifiers, it needs to be converted out of Dante and into an actual microphone cable, which gets plugged into the amps, which go to
Yeah.
the speakers. Probably about a year in, Craig was still alive. We lost the speakers. But I could still hear the subwoofers thumping. Like just the regular speakers went out. What in the world? And the QSC was fine. And I came back here and I noticed the network connection little lights.
Yeah.
On one of them went out completely.
Mm.
So I was like plugging in, unplugging it. That unit fried.
Ah. Okay.
So what I did, since it was the subwoofer, is I just swapped the cables, and I was able to get the mains to come through the other one.
Mhm.
It might have been going through the sub amp. I don't even really know. But we got the mains so we could do church. And then I
okay.
ordered a replacement one and swapped that out. And I think one of them looks a little different. So just so you
Okay.
know, it goes Dante, converts out of Dante to an analog signal on
Right.
those units. If you open up Dante controller, you will see Avio 1 and Avio 2 in there.
Mm.
Those are main speakers and subwoofer. Which
Okay.
one is which, I'm not sure. You can find in the patchings, but that's literally patching the Dante audio to this. I could plug in my computer, connect to Dante, fire up my iTunes, go into Dante and unpatch our system at this point and plug my computer and just blast music through our main system
Okay.
just by repatching in Dante. So you can do that with Dante. Dante, you can patch anything you want anywhere.
That's awesome.
But that's what's happening is it's coming to these guys getting converted and
Going out.
at this point. So it's another fail point. It's a possibility because it has happened once. These things are. Craig was really surprised because they test this stuff. They like run it, and they had never had an issue with these guys.
Oh, okay.
But one just was bad and just fried. So we just had to replace that. Everything below that are amps and stuff. I've never had to touch any of that stuff. Our amps, these amps are really pretty tough and they should last a long time. On the insides of both are power outlets. Some of them are switched, some of them are unswitched. So the QSC is also programmed to turn on and off specific outlets. So when we power up and down the system and hear and see things power on and off, a lot of that is right here. It's actually physically turning the power off on devices that, like our microphones, that don't need to be used.
Okay.
There are a couple of them. If you look through them, you'll see a few of them that are labeled unswitched. So you just have to look. There are some that are unswitched that you can plug something in, like the Resi.
Okay.
That we want that on 24/7. So that is, and I think it's actually this little guy right here, I think is what the QSC is talking through to turn on and off.
Okay.
So the little lead wire that comes in here is, I think, QSC is saying outlet 7 on or whatever. I think it's doing it right through that little unit there. And then the other side, more stuff like that here. So here, this says switched right here. This says switched right here.
Always on.
Yes, always on. So here's some that are always on. And then here's the Hilo. We're going to get rid of this unit. So I believe that is also an always on as well. So you just have to look and see. I can even just leave that right there for now because we're done with that. Yep, and here's how it's talking and controlling these guys.
Okay.
And there's a couple down there I've used too for various things. On the back side, here you have all of the physical ports for the entire AV system coming in. AudioNet primary, ports 1 through 10. AudioNet secondary, that's Dante primary, Dante secondary. All the actual physical ports on this network switch. This is the actual network switch back here. Okay. So on the front panel where we had some Dante and secondary, all they did was take some of those and bring them down to the patch bay.
Okay.
But there are more things that need to get plugged into those, like the core, like the Aviom unit that they plugged in directly in back here, you know, so there's more ports back here. And then there's AV control network up there. You can see all of the devices that we have plugged into the control network, everything that needs to talk to each other. That's all happening there. Up on the top, we have a couple patch bays. We have VidNet 1, 2, 3, house left VidNet, house right VidNet, cam control, C1, C2, I'm not even sure what all those are, house left, house right, cam control in. Those are various patch bays coming in from out in the room. So I believe like VidNet. I think those are the 3 projectors. Something, yes, I don't remember what they are. The only reason I point that out, oh yeah, video control sources, it says on top, and then video control inputs. So the only reason I bring this guy up is way back when we started designing, Craig and I had planned to at least make it possible to put a projector on the left and right sides of the stage. Oh. So there was miscommunication because I walked in one day and there were bricks up there. I'm like, oh, I thought we were planning projectors, but they just put brick all the way to the top, and now there's a cross there, which is fine. The triple wide works. We wanted the option, so we put our theory. Our philosophy was put all of the connection points we think we might want to use. Let's get the wiring in because it's way harder to do it later. So we put those in. They're abandoned. We didn't use it. I needed some room mics, which we did not plan for. So out in the room, I have 2 shotgun Sennheiser microphones aiming down at the crowd mounted from the beam. I have a Dante device that connects those 2 microphones in and phantom powers them, that converts to Dante from that front beam. I needed a way to get that into Dante. And I was like, there are those abandoned projector lines. So I ran a cat line and plugged it into that abandoned projector line, which comes out right here. So I took a network cable and I fed it through and into, there was an AudioNet primary, a Dante primary jack available here. So I was able to plug those 2 microphones into Dante using that abandoned line. That's why there's one loose cable here that looks ugly and hasn't been like cleaned up or labeled, because I need to probably label things. But now, that's what that is. That's how I did it.
What's that little blue switch with the blue lines?
That looks like just that's an unmanaged switch. Where are those guys going to? Oh, that is Aero AV. They needed multiple connections to get into multiple devices, the switches and things. So they put that in so they could talk to all the switches. The one thing to note about the switches, I just had Aero AV here. They changed configuration in those switches. These are specifically AV switches. And they did some setting changes to help with the crackling and stuff. That was the issue inside the configuration file of those switches. The changes that they made, excellent. He made one more change, which kind of started goofing things up. So he rolled back that one change. Everything's been working fine. So we're like, the switch is happy. Everything's working great. Hopefully, as I walk out the door, everything just stays working because we finally got all the little configurations figured out. So that's something that PAD may not have set up exactly properly because we had those popping and glitching issues, which Greg from Aero came in and is like, this is not I would not use these settings. Let's change some of these to what they should be. And when he did, the popping and the crackles went away. So that's where those guys with their knowledge is very helpful. Not much really down here, just the back end of everything.
Okay.
Not much else to know there. So that is pretty much what I know about the racks. One last piece in this rack is, it's hard to see. It's right in there. It's not accessible, but it is a Blackmagic SDI splitter.
Oh yeah.
And I actually might have gotten a second one. I did get a second one, which you can daisy chain them, but you can start to lose quality of signal. Yep. Basically, that is a splitter for the program feed. So we wanted to run the program back to Lighthouse. Mm-hmm. We wanted to be able to turn it on there. We wanted a program feed back into Time of Grace so that Mike could see the lower thirds. That thing splits to the kids' rooms, to the conference room, so that on those TVs we can turn on the service. That little device is splitting the program feed into all the different places. So like those TVs in the control room and the kids' rooms, those SDI lines come right into this rack and plug right into that unit, because we don't need to it doesn't need to go into here.
Okay.
That is just a program feed.
So the program feed is coming from Time of Grace?
The program feed is coming Time of Grace. It's getting our overlays put on it after Time of Grace so that they don't record it in the booth, and then it's getting sent to here.
Okay.
So the program feed is coming into here. Oh, Resi was another thing. We needed a program feed for Resi. Mm-hmm. So that thing basically takes the program feed and just splits it into a whole ton. Okay. I ran out of space and I needed to get a second one. So I only put the Time of Grace little monitor for them so they can see the lower thirds. I just put that on the overflow switch because I knew daisy chaining could degrade the signal, and I don't want to degrade the signal on things, and that seemed to be the least important thing.
Okay.
So in here, if you need any more program feeds, there is a splitter in there, and you could
hook up,
patch more and run the cable. You could even patch it in there and run it to one of these guys.